Hello, NWI, and welcome back to Bluer by the Lake, the podcast that explores region life through a blue lens. I am your host, Tracy Martin, and joining us today is Reverend Geraldine Colvin. Reverend Geraldine currently serves as minister at Unity of Northwest Indiana in Dyer. Reverend, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're very welcome. I'm glad to be here.
So, can you tell me a little bit about what Unity stance is towards the LGBTQ community?
Completely inclusive and celebratory, meaning we come from the idea, and this is throughout our history, and we were founded in 1889, that all people have sacred worth, and that we we honor and celebrate the infinite ways God expresses through people, of the huge variety of people. I always, I'd put it in a simple context. God didn't make cookie cutter people or cookie cutter creation. The infinite expression in nature, in the animal kingdom, that we believe that God is innate within each person and expresses in a beautiful variety of ways, and that each person has intelligence, ideas, spirit, to contribute to the world. We do ourselves a disservice when we cut off any group. We lose a part of divine expression, a beautiful soul, and we have always. Can I read a little piece of,
Yes.
and I'll make it quick. Um,
No, read as much as you want. This is
okay.
making my heart feel so warm
Oh, I'm
just to
glad to hear
hear.
that.
And it's the same with every one of the clergy that I've talked to when they're saying these wonderful things. It's like God is still there.
Yes. Yeah, yes, exactly. God is always present, and we see God as present within all creation, and it takes us to see that and know that. And when you do that, you live in the world of your brothers and sisters, and you live in a world of your that's rich in its diversity and beautiful and creative, So this is our Unity World Ministries statement of our social action position, and it's a whole page, but I'm only going to read the highlighted area. Um, so we go beyond tolerance. We don't say, okay, well, we'll just tolerate people that are different from you. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we are very much actively inclusive. Just a quick example, we for years have an openly gay man as our board president and other gay people on our board. We have a trans person on our board for the last few years. So there, and they are, anybody is very active to the extent they choose to be. So where there are divisions of opinions, beliefs, and perspectives, Unity embraces and cherishes the diversity of gender, age, race, ethnicity, national origin, range of abilities, sexual orientation, gender identity, financial means, education, and political perspective. And this commitment extends to caring for our earth, home, and environmental sustainability. Where there is fear of another, because this is what that's coming from, fear and righteousness. Unity strives to foster a climate of purposeful inclusion, standing for everyone's right to create a life of their own choosing. Where there is oppression and hatred, we pledge to be an advocate for the well-being, respect, and civil freedom of every human being.
I'm gonna cry.
Oh,
It's so, it's been super painful to watch God get stolen from the people that need God most.
yeah.
And it's really,
And the
Pastor Tim,
people who could be walking away the fastest because of how churches have treated them.
yes. And Pastor Tim put it as we're cutting out pieces of our human family that we need. And,
Yes.
and it was such a lovely way to put it because it's true. The more we focus in our spiritual lives on exclusion as the way we identify who we are, what are we throwing away? We're throwing away people.
You know, you see sometimes, which almost becomes cult-like, churches where I'm just gonna be blunt. People are white, straight, married, have 3.5 kids. Um, and, and there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're only that, and if you're teaching that that is what the model is, um, you're teaching that you're creating in people who don't fit that model anxiety, stress, I'm not good enough, I don't fit in. And, many people have those feelings and beliefs without, without that. And then they go to a church to be part of a spiritual community, to learn, hopefully, to love themselves and to recognize their inherent value and worth. And they're shown models, or the norm is, this is what you look like, this is how you act, this is what you do. And if you don't fit, you don't belong here, or you don't have value, and
And
that's
so
that's
it's interesting.
damaging.
Yes, it's deeply damaging, particularly for the young who are forming their identity and already have, an entire universe of people ready to make them feel like they aren't good enough. It doesn't seem like God should be one of them, or the people that say that they're speaking for God. Um, but what's interesting to me in some of the things that you just said is that, part of what makes a good LGBTQ plus affirming spiritual home or church is that it does reflect the diversity of the people that you're serving, where you do have people in the community, the gay community, that are on your boards, they're serving in leadership roles. Um, and that's true of your church, correct? Like, there's no limitations on ways that, the gay community can serve, or the services they can receive.
Correct. And
Yeah.
this is what makes what you're doing, Tracy, so powerful and so essential, because you're giving a voice to clergy that are welcoming. And that's the message I want to really get across too with what you're doing is Unity is just one of the churches. There are other churches that many of the clergy from different churches spoke at Pride Fest in the first Saturday in June. And that was a wonderful representation that I hope more people do get that message, that we're not, there are many churches that will honestly openly welcome, and not just welcome. Like when I came to this church 25 years ago, we were pretty much homogenous in terms of race and age and things like that. And when I interviewed, I said, do you welcome all people? And I said, oh, of course we do. We're Unity. I said, no, do you welcome and include and not only invite, but give opportunities to all people? And because what I was seeing wasn't reflective of the community around us in terms of diversity. And so we had because I said, I'm not going to, go your way, but I'm not going to be a part of anything that would exclude anyone. And they got it. And now, like many congregations, our congregation is older, and we don't have quite the diversity that we used to. And part of it is just changes we've gone through with our location, and won't get into all that. But you will see diversity in our community. We don't have so much age diversity, but we have diversity in many other ways. And
That's
anybody who
wonderful.
walks in our doors will feel welcomed, not just by a greeter, but by whoever's there.
That's great. Um, and I want to back up exactly what you said, because I will tell you, I put out a post on a Facebook post, and I'm like, all right, guys, we need to find, I'd like to talk to some LGBTQ affirming, clergy to, and it was just boom, 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 boom. I'm like, I can't interview any more people than this, or I won't be able to eat. So it's, to me, that was just super heartening. And I'm gonna, yes, yes. So the fact is like there are far more of these safe spaces, and not just safe, but welcoming, inclusive
Yes.
spaces for the LGBTQ plus community than anybody thinks. So, obviously you've probably got some experience with welcoming someone into your church who's come from a place where they have not felt welcome in the past.
Mm.
What have you noticed in the people that are coming in? Because they've got to be carrying some trauma.
Whew. Um, Often they're very quiet about it. They don't talk about it until they get to know you a little. Um, but when they get the sense of welcome from everyone, they feel a little safer. And I mean, certain experiences are popping into my mind. I'll share two of them quickly. We had a young woman who came about 6, 7 years ago, um, female, and was part of our community. She was lesbian. And then she was moved away for a while. When she moved back to the area, she came back and she was male. She had transitioned. And we didn't even recognize him right away. And then he showed us pictures of it. Oh my gosh, we know who you are, and this person is part of our board and is just completely embraced and is just brilliant and creative. And so that's one. But another one, many, many years ago, you hear this from this many people either who haven't gone to church or from people who've been ostracized by church, like the LGBTQ community. Well, if I go into a church, the roof is going to fall in or something because I think God, it's wrong. I had a gay man in a class one time I was teaching, and somehow this diversity topic came up, and another person who wasn't part of our church but was a member of the class made a comment, an anti-gay comment, disrespectful. And I swear my whole face got red, and I just got so upset. And I said, well, you can believe whatever you want, but what we teach here and what we do here is absolutely honor the expression of God in all people. And I will not tolerate somebody, being in any way disrespectful toward anybody, let alone somebody who's already marginalized by society. Well, that person, that gay man, he was he was floored. And he later wrote me a letter that I treasure. And he said, I never in my life, he said, I was already uncomfortable coming to a church and to his class, but I felt welcome. And when he said, Reverend Geraldine was like a mama bear. She turned into a mama bear. She just stood up for me and for gay people. And I wouldn't have had it any other way. I could just viscerally feel my uh, resistance rising. And I made it very clear that where we stand. And he was so touched because he said nobody had ever done that, and he never thought couldn't conceive of a clergy person doing that.
I bet you,
Standing
as a
up.
clergy person, it breaks your heart that that's his perspective and what he
Yeah.
can expect from the
Yes.
clergy.
Well, that's what I see a lot. I think there are more churches that are LGBTQ affirming today because we have more young people in ministry, or it's the generation now. The generations that come up now are much more, I think, open-minded and inclusive and authentic. But I see a lot of cynicism about religion. There was a Facebook post recently. This guy posted these wonderful questions, and he said, if you were a church-going person but you no longer go, how come? And I was reading the responses, and they were often like very cynical. And I get it. I understand. People have been hurt by religion. They've been hurt by clergy people. They've been the very place you would want to find sanctuary and healing and peace and just being welcome and treated like a human being has done the opposite for many, many people. And that's a tragedy. That's why I go back to what you're doing is our hope for the world, is showing that there are places that are
I
very
think you're
welcoming.
doing it more than I am.
Well, no,
Um,
nobody's holding up a measuring stick. We're just doing it differently.
you,
And together, we're doing it together.
amen to that. So for people who are, they've kind of come to a crossroads and now they need to find a new church home. And for them, oh my God, that can be the most painful experience because
Yeah.
their whole life, not just them, but their family. And there's a lot of people who are like they have family that are LGBTQ and they can no longer tolerate. Like my own mom is one of them. They just can't. They're like I can't be part of this church anymore. Do you have advice to people who are making that facing that crossroads on how they can find a safe space?
Well, I would check out before I'd walk into the doors of a church. I would check out their website and see if there's something that explicitly says they not just we welcome all people, but that you might something that addresses their inclusivity and diversity that really speaks to that, or images on their website. Um, Anybody can put up a rainbow flag and say that we welcome all people, but unless you're really actively doing that and conveying that through your website, for example, or your Facebook page, or your Instagram, any of that, I would research it first and even call and talk to a clergy person, talk to somebody there, um, to say, will I be welcomed if I, am a member of the LGBT community, if I'm trans or whatever, will I be welcome? And are you, how do you include people, all people? How do you do it? And they ought to be able to tell you. We have people in our leadership roles. We have people on Sunday morning as part of the service, that are leading the service or guest speaking or doing music or part of our chaplain program, whatever. What are the ways that they are actively including all people?
So Reverend, it has been amazing talking to you. I would talk to you until the cows came home, but my computer is about to die.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
my charger is mysteriously probably downstairs it plugged into one of my kids' devices. So I am going to thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
To everybody listening in, we are going to be posting links to everything that Reverend Geraldine has mentioned today, including Reverend, how can people find you?
We're Unity of Northwest Indiana. We meet at Plum Creek Center on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. We have, which is in Dyer, and we have property, a beautiful 20 acres, and our office on off of 77th Avenue, 13909 77th. But our website is unitynwi.org. UnityNWI for Northwest Indiana.org. And we'd love
Okay.
to welcome you.
Well,
And if you
I and
tell them
I
Tracy sent, if you come, tell me Tracy sent you.
That's it. Oh, Reverend, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tracy. You're doing some amazing work, and I can't stress that enough. I hope you
Stop it. You're going to make
realize
me
that.
blush. I am so grateful that we started this because I mean, if this isn't a topic that people need to hear about, what is? Um, all right. So, NWI, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Reverend Geraldine, for joining us. Everybody, please stay cool if you can, and I'll see you by the lake. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.